Okay, so
Mustafa.
let's jump straight into it. If you think that the British Grand Prix is a high speed track, is nothing compared to Spa. Spa is full high speed, and I don't care what anybody says. I know he had a bad race because he was knocked out. Verstappen should still be the favorite to get pole on this track, and I have a feeling he'll bounce back. He has nothing to lose. He's given up the title championship, and he'll focus. The only question is, will he have to cut his rear end, his rear wing, the way he had to cut it in Britain, which hurt him in the rain when there was in the rain in the final race because there was no downforce. If it hadn't rained, he would have won the British Grand Prix. So I don't think he'll have to monitor. He'll have to cut his back wing as much as he did because this track has absolutely no slow corners. Let's take a look at it at FLRB
Yeah.
because the key is that Red Bull doesn't do well on slow corners, especially those U corners, which slow you down. But if you look at this track, there is no U's. You know those arcing 180-degree corners. There's none of them here. There's nowhere on this track which is going to wear out Verstappen's rear tires, so he can have a pointy setup, and he may not have to pay the price. So I'm going to predict Verstappen's going to get pole position, but it's going to be very close between him and Piastri and Norris. Let's take a look at the really fast speed sections, which is seven. I think it's yeah, seven, that area. So once you look at sector one, you go down, you have a sharp hairpin. That hairpin will help McLaren. But after that, that place there, it looks like it's straight, but those are actually tiny little corners there. That whole sector there, Verstappen's going to dominate sector one. Then coming into sector two will be McLaren. There is a little bit of a slow speed corner there, but if you look at this track, there's mostly medium to slow speed, medium to high speed, and a lot of hairpins. The hairpin is at 567. You guys see 567? Not That's not a hairpin. That's a chicane. 567 in sector two. That's chicane area. So that chicane area is going to be difficult. And so I'm predicting that, as usual, this is a technical track. I thought we go to 234. This is a technical track. So 234, that's super high speed, almost flat. Verstappen's going to do well. Now let's go to one. So one is a hairpin. It doesn't matter. Hairpins don't give anybody advantages on this track except for maybe Mercedes. People will say that a hairpin is a slow speed corner, but it's so brief that there's not much to make up for. But you have to worry about traction and everything. So that should go to the advantage of Mercedes and McLaren. But overall, this track, if you now go all the way to the right to at far right, follow me, where you see 100. This area, yeah, this area here will kind of help McLaren a little bit. It looks a little bit, but these are turns, but everything. But overall, if you look at this track, it's a high speed track, and I think that the the issue with McLaren, they may be able to beat Verstappen, but if you look at Norris versus Piastri, I think Piastri is going to win on this because there's just too many technical tracks on this car, and Norris has struggled with entry on technical high speed corners because he doesn't have a feel for the front of the car. Even though they've changed the front to help him, I still think he's going to struggle. He hasn't lost his woes on handling entering and exiting high speed corners. He struggled with it in Spain where he made serious mistakes with understeer and over and snap. And he also had problems last week in British Grand Prix with these high speed tracks. So I think his woes on high speed, especially entry of high speed corners, are not gone. So between him and Piastri, I give Piastri the the nod. So what do you think, Afolabi? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you because if you look at this, it has a lot of technical corners. The corners
Yeah.
are very high tech, so it won't be
Yeah.
easy, especially where you have McLaren's car. They are better suited for V-shaped cornering, and you don't have
No,
too
actually, I think uh, between V shape is better for Verstappen and for Norris. I'm not for Norris, for Piastri, but Norris struggles on V shape. Norris does better on U shaped
Yes,
corners, but there's
he
no U
always
shaped
has
corner.
maneuverability issues when it comes to
So
V
that track,
cornering.
it suits
So,
Verstappen and
so this suits
Piastri
Verstappen
driving
more,
style better,
yes, than
and
Norris.
Piastri.
Yes,
Yeah,
and he has known to have issues with oversteer and understeer here, especially the exits at turn 5 in Spain 2025 is similar to some of the turns here. So
yeah.
basically, I think Verstappen should do well here. It's a very high-speed track with an average speed of about 240 kilometers per hour. Not too much tire degradation. The surface is not so abrasive. And there's some corners too that heavy braking will be required. So there'll be a lot of pressure and load on the brakes. So basically, low to medium downforce settings should be okay for this. I think this should favor Red Bull. particularly Verstappen, and then maybe Piastri's driving style, basically.
Yeah, and the difference between Piastri and Norris is that Piastri has limitations as a driver, but he tends to stay within the limit better. Norris only feels comfortable if he's trying to push the limit, but he struggles with pushing the limit in high-speed tracks. Now, they changed the front of the car, but I think that was a little bit of hype because when they changed the front of the car, he did very well with the race before the British Grand Prix, but I think it still has some of the corners he likes, which are the U-shaped corners, those long corners that look like you're doing a half circle. That's his style of driving. There's nowhere to hide in Spa. Spa is a high-speed track. Also look out for Leclerc and Hamilton. I have a feeling they'll do well on this track. What are your thoughts, Mr. Johnny? Yeah.
Yo, so man, it's going to be again another battle between both of them. Norris is gonna have to he's gonna have to adapt or die, because he probably knows that this kind of track that's his weaknesses, so he's probably gonna he have to adapt or he's gonna lose it. Verstappen, I think they're gonna, as long as they got the settings right, I think they'll do well, with their stuff like that. Piastri, well, we'll see how he's going to chase that something.
Yeah. Piastri is what I call Mr. Generic. He does well on every track. He's not the best. Norris and Verstappen are better drivers per se, but Piastri stays with. He's consistent. He's Mr. Consistent. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I think Norris now has got he's got now cojones now, especially from the last few races. He's got balls now, so he'll be very bold. I'm sure he'll be very bold in his.
But don't forget that Norris came. What did he come P4 in qualifying in Britain? So he still hasn't dealt with that qualifying issue he has. He's getting better in race situations, but his qualifying is still an issue. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think now I think he's now seeing that he can catch Piastri, and he's going to.
Yeah. And we have to remember, if not for the penalty last week, Piastri would have beaten him.
Yes, but that's, and I'm probably locked to his also on the side too as well.
Yeah. I think you don't like George Russell and Piastri now. That Piastri has now entered your bad.
Oh, I not that I don't like them, but they haven't done anything for me to like them. That's why I still.
Yeah. But I agree with you in that any mistake, anything that happens with Norris now is not going to be his mindset. It's going to be his ability. I think aside from his mindset, take away his mindset, he still struggles with technical high-speed corners because of his driving style. So I think that's why I give a slight advantage to Piastri. But like you said, this is going to be a battle to the end of the year. Once again, I think Verstappen could win this qualifying and win the race, but we're not going to focus on Verstappen because the competition for the championship is Piastri. So between the two of them, so I'll put you on the spot. Who do you think is going to qualify better between the two of them, and who do you think is going to finish ahead of the other in the race? Yeah.
I think what's his name? Piastri will probably qualify, but I think Lando will win
with race pace. Yeah.
And then I'm also on Red Bull. Like Red Bull might probably be not even in the story this week and when the next race, because maybe Honda would have taken something out of that car as it's going.
Oh yeah, espionage. So like I think this guy took a lot out of that car when he left too. When Newey said, "Don't worry, I will show you."
Everybody just say, "Hey, just take something." You just see now Red Bull become like 12th.
80% of that team were Horner's people, or they loved him. So they may be like, okay, Horner's gone, and Verstappen want to leave, we gonna show him too. You never know.
Somebody come out and urinate into the fuel tank or something like that.
Don't worry, I'm gonna call the Spa police about that. Keep an eye on those boys, man. They messing with my man. All right, Quinn, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
Yes, well, barring any DNF, I think that there's going to be two different battles. The first battle is going to be between the two McLarens at the front, and the second battle is going to be between Ferraris and everybody else for third place. That's what I'm seeing. This is a fast track, and although it's also a Red Bull track, Red Bull seems to be losing something even on the fast track in the last 2 or 3 races. I think they're going to drop into the second tier of racing, which is who gets the podium. We see Leclerc has got a lot of third place podiums, and Hamilton is the highest ranked racer without a podium finish. So he's hunting for a podium finish as well. And then you see Mercedes seem to struggle a bit on these high-speed tracks. So then you're now looking at, so what's left? What's left is a Red Bull that has seen itself in turmoil over this weekend with Mr. Horner having to changing team. So they're in a bit of a transition, which is a disadvantage to Red Bull. So I do see McLaren stomping it home. And unless there's an accident, I think Norris is stronger of the two between Piastri and himself.
But let's get into this. You think Norris can out-qualify Piastri? Yeah. Piastri's been destroying Norris in qualifying. What do you think is going to happen in qualifying? Yeah.
I don't think it matters who wins the qualifying between the two of them. I don't think it matters. I think that Norris is going to win the race. If it comes down to 1 and 2, it doesn't matter where Norris starts. He's going to take.
The reason I'm not trying to be argumentative, but you guys have been saying Norris is going to win. Finish. You guys have been saying he's going to win, but if you have to remember, the only reason he won last week is because they gave Piastri a penalty. Piastri was way ahead of him and untouchable. So I'm just curious as to why everybody thinks Norris is going to win. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I'm just looking for a reason. What's the reason? Because if you look at it, Piastri has been out-qualifying him, and Piastri out-qualifying. For example, Norris came P4 in qualifying last week on a fast track. He came behind 3 people. Then in the race, the only reason he came second was because the only reason he won was because they eliminated. So I'm just saying I'm not disagreeing with you, but you haven't given a case for him winning. If you look at the paper, it doesn't look like he should win. So I'm just wondering why you're predicting he should beat him. Because on paper, it looks like, if you look at it on paper, it looks like Piastri should win. Hello?
Yes, on paper, yes. But when I look at it, when it comes to racecraft, Norris seems to be able to find himself, even when he does badly, doing quite well towards the end of races. And he just feels, I just get this feeling that in a race, if there's not too many people between himself and Piastri, then he'll just take Piastri down, especially on a fast track. Maybe not so much on a slow track, but on this kind of fast track.
But remember the last time he tried to pass Piastri? Remember the last time? What happened the last time he tried to pass Piastri?
Yeah, well, I'm sure he learned his lesson.
He ended up in the wall. He ended up in the wall.
His lesson.
He hasn't passed Piastri yet this year, but he's had past the race.
But that's the point. But that's the point. He ended up in the wall. If it was on a slow track, he probably wouldn't have even got close enough to threaten Piastri in the first place.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not seeing.
He wouldn't have even got at least got the cat on the pigeons. I'm not saying he won it. I know he made a mistake and messed up, but at least he got the cat on the pigeons, as opposed.
Yeah, the problem is that everybody knows that Norris has better race pace than Piastri. But Norris, here's the problem: Norris has better race pace than Piastri, but he's a poorer starter, and he has absolutely zero racecraft. Would you agree with me? His racecraft is rubbish. He doesn't know how to defend, and he doesn't know how to pass. And to me, you can't lose. So we have 3 checks: racecraft, qualifying, and race pace. So Norris has race pace, but Piastri has the other 2 ingredients: qualifying it, and then the other ingredient is the start of the race. So I think it's going to be close, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm arguing with you guys, but not in a malicious way. It's more fun. We will see what happens.
It's okay.
But I'm going to remind you guys, if Piastri out-qualifies them and wins next week, I'm going to rewind you guys about this.
Yeah, no, Alan. I'm going to, if anything happens the other way, to remind you. But also, you have to remember.
What's your take on it as you've analyzed the season of Falabi? Yeah.
The way it is, this Spa is a power track. And historically, Max dominates on power tracks. So I see Red Bull straight line speed advantage reimagine at this circuit. Although I have concerns about their balance. I hope they have corrected their balance issues from Silverstone. If they've corrected their balance, I think their straight line speed will come to the fore. And as for Lando is driving arguably the most complete car at the moment. So his ability to win this race will depend on how he navigates those technical corners, because there are a lot of technical corners that will require a lot of skill. I think both teams have, in terms of balancing aerodynamics, The McLaren car seems to balance it better in terms of downforce and the aerodynamic setup of the car, because if the downforce is too much, you compromise on high speed. But if it's too low too, you're going to have problem when you're cornering. So it's a hybrid kind of track that requires balanced settings. And I think the McLaren car is more suitable for this. But then it comes down to the drivers. Max is very good on power tracks.
Yeah, Max is the difference. If you take away Max, Max adds 0.2 of a second, and that 0.2 of a second will help him beat them by thousandths of a second. Do you get my point? So if Max qualifies them, it's going to be close. But we have to remember, Max destroyed these guys. In the last one, he beat Piastri by 0.1 of a second. He beat Norris by 2, but that's because he used the extreme settings, and only he can drive that car that way.
If they can get their balance issues sorted out, I think he has.
Okay. All right, let's jump to the next.